Hello, it's Dave Michaels at Talking Points. It's the beginning. Happy December, everybody! Beginning of December. I've been working really hard trying to get my November newsletter out. I've had a number of challenges this month. One of those challenges is all this news around Five9 and Zoom, and Five9 possibly being in play. This is December news. I'm trying to finish up November news, so it's kind of a distraction. But because there's so much interest and conversation going on about this, I thought that I would do a live video and discuss this a little bit on what's going on here with Five9 and Zoom. The short answer, too long to watch, is not much. So what we know is that news broke that Five9 is working with advisors to gauge interest in a potential sale of the company. Okay, I mean, all companies are kind of for sale, and so why not go shop itself, and why not start with someone who wanted to buy you before? So apparently they did talk to Zoom, and that would be always start with. There's not that many companies that have the money and wherewithal and potential interest, so you start off with those companies first. They went to Zoom, evidently, and Zoom has publicly stated that they did talk, they had a conversation, and those conversations are over. So that's what we know. The rest here is a little catch up, and kind of we'll talk a little bit about the space here. Let's talk about the Five9 and Zoom deal before. This was back in 2021. There's a lot of stuff on talkingpoints.com if you go back and find it. But basically, Zoom had agreed to acquire Five9 in largely a stock deal, and it was a long deal. I mean, they announced it, and it was like almost a year until the deal was going to close, and that was a tough year. This is 2021, so it's kind of the end of the pandemic, and Zoom was one of those pandemic rock star stocks that shot up really high during the peak of the pandemic or the beginning of the pandemic, and then as Teams and other solutions started coming out and catching up, the stock started going down. I would say that Zoom stock went too high; it was overreaction, and it was probably went too low; it was overcorrection. So the Five9 shareholders are looking at this and saying, "Well, wait a minute." The value of Five9 isn't going up and down like that. So why should the value of Five9 be going up and down when you're going to pay in stock? This is the way things happen, right? I mean, you can look at the price of a Coke in Europe. If you are paying for it in U.S. dollars, you do the conversion every day, and every day that price changes. To Europeans, the price of the Coke doesn't really change every day. So when you're doing these exchange rates things get pretty crazy. And so the shareholders of Five9 actually, last minute, at the final opportunity, voted to kill the acquisition. The Five9 shareholders said, we can do better. Now, we don't know whether that was the right call or not. I mean, the Zoom stock continued to fall, so maybe it was right. But on the other hand, it was a pretty strong combination there. There was a lot of things that were good about that acquisition. Zoom certainly could have increased the value or maybe offered a little more cash. But I mean, the Zoom stock was still pretty high. Probably in hindsight, I'm sure the folks at Zoom probably wish they'd bought lots of companies when their stock was high. But Zoom on principle said same thing. The value of Five9 to them was a percentage of Zoom, and that value hadn't changed. And so the fact that the Zoom shares had changed was kind of irrelevant. They're playing the long game, so they chose not to increase the value, and the deal fell through. Now, I just want to be clear, though, that had the deal gone through, that would have been a pretty powerful company. Now, we don't really know what would have happened, but I think that ship has sailed. It doesn't surprise me that Zoom would say no at this point. Part of it was the CEO of Five9 was Rowan Trollope, and Rowan and Eric Yuan got along pretty well, and they've got some other interests together. And so I think that was kind of a nice friendship, partnership happening. Rowan has left Five9, so that chemistry is gone. But there's some other things that have changed too, and probably most significantly is Zoom has built its own contact center, and I think it's got 700 active clients already on it. And it takes a long time to build products, particularly contact center products take a long time because you have to build it and then you have to get customers to adopt it, and all this stuff is very slow in the contact center space. But then there's normal speed and there's Zoom speed. So Zoom is doing pretty well. I mean, they've built this product. They've already got lots of customers on it. They innovate very quickly. And so the fact that they've already spent all that effort would probably, contribute to the ship sailing argument. They also acquired Solvay last year. So they brought in some conversational AI into their portfolio. That was an acquisition. Now, Five9 has made a lot of really smart acquisitions, but at some point, these companies are no longer fitting together like a jigsaw puzzle. They're having more overlap. And another thing that's happened is Five9 has become a Magic Quadrant leader in the contact center space. Probably should have been a few years earlier, but they're not. That's happened last year, so they've got a little more momentum. And so just a lot of stuff has changed. Five9 opened up their development center in Portugal, and so they've got their overseas center in Portugal now. So there's just a lot of stuff going that would, to me, suggest that maybe that ship has sailed. So what else can I say about that? I think I've pretty much covered all that. Now, whenever you have a build versus buy opportunity, so the folks at Zoom in this case, the answer is always better if you build it, but it takes time. And so this conversation was happening in 21, and so we're already about to hit 24 here. So that time window, that time benefit has kind of gone away. So I think at this point, the argument would have been, it's always better to build, but you win. Maybe you have a faster ship if you acquire, and it certainly would have been a faster ship. But at this point in 24, I'm not sure about that anymore. There are so let's talk about some of their options here. So should Five9, I'm not even using my slides here to see. So Five9 shopping itself, we covered that. Five9 and Zoom, we've covered that. So I'm missing all these things here. Okay, so this one, Five9 and who? So if it's not Zoom, then who? Let's see. I got one guy agreeing with me here. Let's see. I also think the ship has sailed. Yep. Thank you, David. So if it's not Five9, then who would be excuse me, if it's not Zoom, then who would be a logical partner? It's kind of a short list. And the list is getting shorter, to be honest. Five9 is getting more expensive and in a good space. The list of contenders, like Google, for example, would be a logical contender, but they've already made this partnership with UJet. They didn't even acquire UJet. I mean, they just made this partnership with UJet. UJet was a much smaller and cheaper company, so if they didn't acquire UJet, I don't think they're going to acquire Five9. So who's left, right? Amazon's got their solution, so Microsoft's a contender. Microsoft probably wouldn't make it this size of an acquisition. They like to build stuff just like Zoom, or smaller companies. Tuck-ins, acqui-hires. So the logical one that comes up a lot is Cisco. Cisco has certainly made acquisitions just recently of this size and larger. But Cisco too, the ship has probably sailed. Cisco's been investing very heavily in their own WebEx contact center solution, and they're getting good traction with it. So I think that ship is probably already sailed. So Microsoft stands out as a contender. Salesforce is a logical contender, but I'm not sure Salesforce wants to get into this space. They could have a long time ago. They've got a nice partnership with Amazon, a nice partnership with Vonage, nice partnership with a number of companies. I don't think that's it. I can see somebody out of the blue, like, I don't really follow SAP, but if Salesforce is a contender, then SAP should be a contender. Maybe any kind of CRM company, or even the ERP company, or even a finance company. This stuff's all kind of blurring together. I can actually think of lots of great fits that need a mature, proven contact center, but they're too small. They can't acquire, or they don't have the finances or whatever, because Five9 is a big fish. Like Sprinkler could be a good fit. I can see Avaya being a good fit. I can see Verint being a great fit. We're pairing up with Five9, but these aren't acquisitions. These are at best mergers, or maybe the other way around. Maybe Five9 acquires one of these guys. But so there's just not a whole lot of great fits out there. I think SAP would be interesting. We talked about Cisco here, and we've already talked about. See, I'm really bad on these banners here, but Microsoft sales. We covered all these things. Now, I mentioned earlier I'm working on my newsletter, which is about to go out, and I actually took a line out of it. Let's see. Something that Berkland had said at the recent briefing, Mike Berkland, the CEO of Five9, that we're being pushed by legacy hitting the end of life, and we're being pulled by new AI automation use cases. So he's trying to explain why they're growing so quickly. He didn't even mention Gartner recognizing Five9 as a CCaaS leader this year, or 23, and that probably hasn't hurt anything. But they're saying that their pipeline is filling up like they've never seen before, and they are in a pretty good place. Not a bad place to be. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? That leaves us with, what we do know is that Five9 is exploring options. Now, that's not a bad thing. They say the best time to sell a company is when things are going well, and things are going well at Five9. So certainly not a bad thing to do. And I think really all companies are for sale, but some just wait for someone to knock on the door. There's nothing wrong with going out and seeing if there's any good partnerships out there. I will say that the contact center space is in flux. Generative AI is a wild card that hasn't played out yet, and a lot of things are going to be changing. I would say that if a company, let's say the ones we've talked about, like SAP or Salesforce or Microsoft, were looking to make an acquisition, there would be some other companies besides Five9 to look at. There's some good competition out there. I think Genesys is probably a little more distressed, and also a leader in the MQ, and would probably also be happy to talk to anybody. They are not public, and so their valuation and a lot of their numbers are not as clear. But I think they are also going through a lot of transition now. So I'm not seeing a lot of logical fits for Five9. So I'm going to say that Five9 will probably stay independent. And I don't think that'll be a bad thing for them. In fact, if they're upset about being independent, they might cry about it all the way to the bank, as they say. Every day they'll be really upset as they make their deposits. I don't think Zoom is upset either. I think that Zoom, they made their offer, and walked away, or they didn't walk away. Five9 walked away, but what they're building is a pretty impressive story too. They've got the video meetings calling AI platform. They've got WorkVivo. They've got a pretty complete solution stack. And we can even throw in email and Zoom Docs. Pretty complete solution stack for customer service completely. Now they're not there yet. It's going to take a little more time, but when they are done, they're going to have an incredible story. So bottom line here is that I don't think anything's going to change. I think that Five9 will stay independent. I think Zoom will continue doing what they're doing. And so basically there's nothing to see here, folks. Get back to work. Thanks for watching.